Today, I would like to welcome Jonathan Mayer to the show. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
You're doing
Thank
well. What are you sipping on here? I noticed you have something in your cup.
Coffee.
Coffee. Coffee.
What else?
What else? So today we are drinking some what I refer to as the magic bean from Guatemala. This is Texas Joe Coffee Co. What do you think?
It's great.
Good stuff?
Yeah.
So you're a coffee drinker, right?
I am.
But you're a little bit different, right? Because you don't do the full cup.
No.
So what do you normally get? What's your go-to when it comes to the bean?
We'll go with a double espresso. Yeah.
So you like to just get right to the point?
Yes.
I like it. Yes. I like it. Hey, so I've been mainly for many years like an Americano guy, hence the name of the show. But I always tell people, Americano is a little bit stronger. Hence, I know you can appreciate that with your double shot. And I always just feel like I need to have something in the cup.
Yeah.
Something to sip on, right? So that aside, welcome to the show. It's been a long time coming. I've had the show for some time now. I've been really wanting to have you on, and you have a tremendous background that I know our guests are really going to enjoy today. And so I was thinking what we could do is maybe dive into a little bit about your background and get to some of the good stuff, because for our listeners out there, for those that are watching the show, Jonathan Mayer is a phenomenal designer. He has a tremendous amount of experience in the design realm. Working with a lot of high-end brands. And, that doesn't always happen overnight. And usually there's a real powerful story behind it. And there's a journey, right? There's a journey to get to that point. And I'm really looking forward to you sharing that journey. So why don't we just jump in and talk a little bit about your background. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
Okay.
Yeah. I went to junior high and high school in Northridge, Granada Hills.
Okay.
Yeah. Went down to school in San Diego.
Okay.
San Diego State.
That's not a bad place to go to school.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who love to go to San Diego.
Yeah. I joke, like I've lived my whole life within 150 miles of each other.
Wow.
Grew up in the Valley, went to school in San Diego, ended up here in Orange County.
Okay. Yeah. And you didn't really have to travel too far to go to school, which, some people have to travel across the entire country to go to school.
Right.
So what was it like? Was San Diego State like your chosen spot? Did you know you wanted to go there, or was it, I guess I'll go down there?
I went to a JC for 2 years. I stayed local, went to a JC, applied to a number of schools, got into a handful, and San Diego was it was close, it was nice, good reputation, beautiful, can't beat the weather.
Gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
And when you were on your journey through JC, were you just sort of taking whatever classes to just fill up your schedule, or did you have purpose and intent at that age?
That was basically taking my GEs.
Okay, general ed. Okay.
Frankly, I was trying to continue a baseball career.
Oh, baseball.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and you have that. I hear you. What a phenomenal pitcher.
Sure. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that. That's an interesting segue, because you went from athlete to designer.
Well, yeah, when you retire, you're not going to make millions of dollars as an athlete. You gotta find something to do. No, I played ball my whole life. I loved it. I pitched. I played third base. Retired at 19.
I like that. Retired at 19.
Had a family member actually that he worked for a motion graphics company in Marina Del Rey.
Okay.
And they did back in the day all the on-air graphics for like Entertainment Tonight and like the Oscars, like when you see the name and the intros to the shows, and I went and interned there, and I drove from the Valley to Marina Del Rey, every day for a few months, and hung out and kind of decided that's what I liked.
Now, so you got it. So you got firsthand exposure. So you're in school, and then you got some exposure to what they were doing.
Right.
What did you see? At that age, what are you seeing? Because the tech has evolved significantly. When you're thinking about the overlays, I'm thinking about Adobe After Effects and such like that. So what is it like? What did you see?
There were a lot of editing bays. It was video and motion graphics.
Okay.
I saw they were big on awards. They won dozens and dozens and dozens of Emmys, actually.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to see that, and I was kind of drawn to the fame, if you will. And, it was kind of exciting to see that, these guys do stuff on TV that wins awards.
Yeah. So the notoriety that attracted you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you get this exposure, it motivates you. Now you go back to school, and does that just change the classes that you pick now? Are you now like, wow, what classes do I have to take to get into this world?
Well, yeah, at that point I'd committed to San Diego. So I was going down to San Diego State and getting a BA in design.
Yeah.
And then took primarily design classes.
And was this during a time, I mean, so where's the computer at this point? Are you sketching? listen. No. Don't take that the wrong way. Because you're very young, and I know that to be true. What I mean to say is how much of the tech was integrated into the curriculum? Because even today, let's be honest, even today, there are still different studios that will only hire people if they have a background in sketching, like actually the ability to draw something and then digitize that and bring that into the computer, right?
Yeah. If I can even back up further, like I've always had this ability to kind of draw and sketch. So even as a kid, a young kid, I was always drawing.
You were a doodler.
I'm a doodler.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. My elementary school, I played a big role in this mural that we painted, this like nature outdoor jungle mural. So I think I've got a tiger and an eagle or something on the wall there.
Nice. A little bit of the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I remember my instructors and my professors, I was viewed as kind of the first generation that had access to like an Apple or a Mac. Like, because they were all doing stuff like my pencil and like actually typesetting letters one by one. And
interesting.
You know, so
was this the Apple IIe?
I had what did I have? A Mac 8500.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I dove in. I got the Mac, the monitor, the printer, the scanner, the whole deal.
The whole thing. Yeah, they were beautiful, right? Those machines were like nothing you'd ever seen before.
Yeah.
The aesthetics and the design, and they all worked and they all went together. Very, very cool time.
Yeah.
So you were exposed to the technology. I mean, that was cutting edge. I mean, let's be clear. That was cutting edge at that time. When that technology came out and you're in design school and learning the principles, that was leaps and bounds, because up until that point in time, everybody was relying on sketches and everything was by hand, right? And you were entering the digital economy, which we all kind of take for granted nowadays.
Right. But, you know, not to forget, I was taking classes where, you know, I was working with styrofoam and balsa wood and actually like sketching pen and ink.
Okay.
You know, so three-dimensional design, space design, not just simply like graphic design.
Interesting. You know? Interesting. So physical materials.
Yes.
And did you have an understanding of those things prior to getting to school? Or was school really a place where you cultivated that passion and that understanding of space and those different things, design elements in general?
I think it helped me tap into some natural ability.
Okay.
It kind of helped me hone those skills, you will, if a little bit.
Yeah. Excellent. So you're in school. Fast forward a little bit, you graduate. What's next? You stay in San Diego? Because, I mean, I know the weather's good. I mean, you could get lost in San Diego for a while. Do you stay there, or do you make a move?
I stayed. I think I was there for a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
But LA, you could have a dozen interviews a week in LA.
Yeah.
San Diego, I heard time and time again that everyone came back to San Diego.
Really?
Go out, get a career started, come back.
Okay.
And they were right. I started looking in LA, and I had plenty of interviews, plenty of offers.
Yeah. LA is just a huge market.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what is it, 10, 13 million people in the city?
Yeah.
Okay, so you make your way to LA?
I do.
And where do you land?
Where'd I go? I think I ended up in West Hollywood.
Okay.
No, sorry. Back to parents. Moved back home. Graduated college, 97.
Mom's cooking was that good, huh?
Moved back home. Went to work for a little design studio in Santa Monica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another horrible location.
Yeah.
Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's the theme here, coastal cities for you. That's the theme.
Yeah.
So you're in Santa Monica and you start this gig.
Yeah.
What are you doing for them?
I'm working for a small studio that their biggest client was Sony Music, which was down the street. So when Sony Music's in-house staff was overwhelmed, they would outsource the work to us. And most of the time, I ended up doing
the work.
Yeah.
And what type of work what was that for you?
CD packaging.
CD packaging.
Yeah.
That's compact disc.
Right.
For some of our listeners out there. It's all digital now, all MP3, all streaming.
Yeah.
So you're doing cover work.
Yeah.
And is it safe to assume you're doing cover work related to artists, musicians?
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty cool. It was exciting. I mean, I suddenly found myself in the music industry.
Interesting.
The principal of the studio, she actually was like a Grammy Award winner. You can, at the time, I don't know if they still do it, but they awarded a Grammy to the best album art.
Okay.
Yeah. So she won a Grammy or two.
From the album art?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how much of this art was you 100% or...
I was low on the totem pole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you dealing primarily with composition, layout, that type of stuff?
Yeah. Basically taking the art director's concepts and fulfilling it until they're happy.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're comfortable with revisions?
Still am 25 years later.
So that's, so is it fair to say you sort of cut your teeth with Sony?
Yeah.
In a way?
Yeah. I was with that design studio for about 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
A position became available at Sony Music, and my contact there asked me if I wanted to interview for it, and I ended up going to work for Sony Music for 6 years.
Directly?
Yeah.
Is that because they knew that some of the work you were doing was yours?
The relationship. My point of contact there, I knew the guy for 3 years.
Yeah.
And he let me know that something was opening. And
wow. So you're, how old are you at this point?
23, 4.
23, 24.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're working in LA,
Yeah.
Santa Monica area.
Yeah.
And you're working for Sony.
Living at home.
Life's not bad. Living at home. Rent free?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
This is a good life by any definition. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sony, how long were you there for?
I was there for 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
That's a really good stint.
Yeah.
And did it just make you that much more passionate about what you were doing in the design world, or tell us a little bit about that?
It was fun. I was still, you're kind of in this Hollywood world where there's musicians on site. Epic Records is there. Columbia Music is there. I tell this story where New York was our head office.
Okay.
And you had to do whatever New York said. You had to make New York happy. So there was always deadlines to go to press for things.
Okay.
And I was there staying late because the people in New York were staying late, and I was going to work with somebody. We're going to sit side by side and fine tune it until it was happy. And some guy walks in with a beard like down to here and his hair
like
down
ZZ
to his
Top,
back, like ZZ Top, jeans, t-shirt, wearing a flannel. Like, who is this guy? Like, I have no idea who he is. Come to find out, you'll probably know who he is. This is Rick Rubin.
Yes, Rick Rubin.
Yeah, mega producer.
And you know what's interesting about Rick Rubin is, I think if I'm not mistaken, it was LL Cool J, and it was funny because when he had heard about Rick Rubin, and he first got a chance to meet him in person, he said he sees Rick apparently, and this is in his own words, and he looks at Rick and goes, man, I thought you were black. Because Rick Rubin has been behind so much music in the hip hop world. And he's super, really cool guy, really well known, well respected in the music industry, and has fundamentally worked with so many artists in all genres. And I think that's what makes him unique, from rock and roll to hip hop to you name it.
Right.
Wow. So he walks in. So that's cool.
Yeah, and I didn't know who he was. I just worked with this guy, and we got it done. And later on, found out who he was, and it's kind of a fun story.
That's really, really cool. So you must have seen different types of figures like Rick Rubin come through that office.
Yeah. At the time, Sony's like major artists were Mariah Carey, Barbra Streisand, Michael Jackson. Like big names.
Some prominent individuals.
And then there was System of a Down. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I like that music.
That Armenian
that's
group.
That's good workout music.
Yeah.
That's when you're doing some CrossFit, right? And you have to really get after it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was cool. You're exposed to all kinds of music, all kinds of people. Yeah, it was fun.
That's so cool. Fun. And you're young, and you're in LA, and you're exposed to all these celebrities, and that just must have been jet fuel for you.
Yeah. It was cool. That's cool.
So tell us, what was life like after Sony, and what was that catalyst to move on?
So I met a woman in college.
Okay.
That I'm now married to.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that you've been married for a while now.
this summer 19 years.
19 years this summer. Wow. Congratulations.
So we're in San Diego together. She moves up to Orange County to get a master's degree in education.
Okay.
I'm in LA. So we're doing the LA Orange County every other weekend.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years go by, and
you did this for 5 or 6 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not to slight LA, but you drive to Orange County. It's clean. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the highways open up. So what was the ratio of travel? Like, who was traveling more? Were you traveling to see her more? Or was she traveling to see you more?
You know what? If we wanted a weekend that was going to be kind of mellow by the beach, it was Orange County.
Yeah.
If we wanted to do like LA and Hollywood and Sunset Boulevard, it was LA. So pretty frequent,
So it sounds like there are more mellow weekends by the beach.
Well, I live in Orange County now.
Okay, that's a great way to answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay,
they Sony Music would treat their art directors like athletes. They would sign them to multi-year deals.
Yeah.
And after 6 years, I was still the newest guy, still number 11 on the totem pole. I didn't know how long it was going to take to move up there, so I started looking in Orange County.
Got it.
Moved here, went to work for an advertising agency, ended up getting married a year later.
Wow. So that was a big catalyst in your life, the fact that you had found the love of your life.
Yeah.
And that sort of changed the whole trajectory for you and brought you back to Orange County.
Yeah.
Or to Orange County, I should say. Yeah,
right.
to Orange County. Yeah. Really the in-between, right?
Right.
Between LA and where you were growing up in that area.
Right.
And then, San Diego. Now you're in the middle.
Right.
Compromise. That's what we call compromise, right?
Right.
So, Orange County's not a bad place. So you end up in Orange County and you said you started working for an agency.
Right.
Again, doing design work.
Doing design work, completely different though. This guy that owned this agency, he was primarily hospitality.
Okay.
So like restaurants, and a lot of medical industry stuff. So it was a major switch from LA and rock and roll and
Rick Rubin walking in to
so it's fine.
Okay.
Learn more. Learn way more out of school than you do in school.
Yeah.
Just kind of real life experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think that, school gives you an understanding. There's definitely a tremendous amount of value in it. But the reality is every organization is different. The teams, the culture, the type of work. You are going to often acquire all the skills you really need to understand in life through those experiences, actually doing the work, right? There's just tremendous amount of value just doing it.
Yeah.
So you switch gears.
Right.
You're working at this agency, but you're still motivated. You're still challenged. You're still finding that you're passionate. You have sort of an affinity towards the work.
It's much more responsibility too.
Okay.
Because I'm now kind of the last person to touch the files before it goes to press, right? Instead of being more of a supporting role.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the guy and like
you are the guy.
It's yeah.
So if something doesn't look right when it goes to press, it's hey.
Yeah. What happened?
Mr. Mayor?
Right.
There are 20,000 copies in circulation.
Yes.
Okay. Now, does that make you paranoid when it comes to design? Are you paranoid to a certain extent because you have to just, cross your T's, dot your I's, double check, triple check?
To this day. Yeah. Like, I'm an art guy, not a proofreading guy.
Okay.
So work with a copywriter, hire a proofreader.
Yeah. So
read stuff backwards. It's a little pro tip there.
Absolutely. And I definitely want to get into some tips for our listeners. So you're at this agency. What was one of your sort of most memorable projects with that particular agency that comes to mind? Or something that just challenged you. And maybe you can even take it back a step further to Sony if you like. Just, going from Sony to an agency and you're young, you're still, you're in your career, you're learning, you're applying these skills, you're growing. What was a challenging or memorable moment for you?
The small business, the small agency seemed more real.
Okay.
It's like you're working on something that's another business is going to use to grow their business and to make money.
They're dependent on you.
Whereas I'm one of several hundred people working for this record label.
Okay.
Putting out album art.
Yeah.
So the agency seemed more real, if you will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're on a smaller vessel compared to that ocean liner of Sony, right?
Yeah.
So what happens next beyond this agency? Because it's my understanding at some point you were in some type of wedding business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that correct?
So I got married.
Okay.
Being a designer, can't let someone else design your invites, right?
Okay.
So I did
You did not outsource your invites.
No.
Okay.
I did it, worked with a company in Corona del Mar to kind of like, she knew small scale printers and she knew papers and this and that and the other. So worked with her to get them produced.
Okay.
6 months later, my phone rings and it's the woman that owned this business. And she asked me if I wanted to buy the business.
Wow.
So I'm now at this point.
This you said 6 months in?
Yeah.
About 6 months in and
after married. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. After married. Okay.
So we have this conversation for about a year and a half. So at this point, I'm 29 years old, and I decide to leave a pretty decent paying salaried position to buy a business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever see yourself being a business owner? I mean, did you have that entrepreneur? Some people know it, like it's instinctive. It's like intuition. They feel it. Like, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be on my own. Was that you, or was it something where you're like, I rationalized it?
You know, I looked at it, and you're going to laugh, but I looked at it as something that
could save you money on the invites. I think, were you trying to get to cost?
I actually saw it as an opportunity to grow and own something, but it didn't seem hard.
Okay.
Like it doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
Right? Now
you're like, how difficult could it be?
Yeah. Flash forward a year, you own a business and you're paying bills and rent and taxes and salaries and vendors and
yeah.
So then your bank account goes like this, but
yeah, it looks like Six Flags.
Yeah. So I was a 29-year-old guy, and I bought a wedding invitation business in Corona del Mar.
Wow. So what comes with that? Did you have a team? Did you just have stock? Did you have a little? I mean, tell us about that, because that's a big milestone at such a young age, and also being newly married.
Yeah. And honestly, thank goodness I had the support. Like, my wife supported me 100%. We did it.
That's fantastic. And real quick, I would also just agree, you need that support. Yeah. I mean, it makes a huge difference. I think that, especially for the entrepreneurs out there, if you're going to start a business, it takes a tremendous amount of time. There's sacrifice, and I think the ones that tend to fare well are ones that have strong partners that are supporting them and helping them through. And actually, even if you don't have a partner, it could be your family, just people that understand it and support you, because it's a journey. Yeah. It's a journey, right? Yeah. And I'm sure you quickly were exposed to that.
Right. However, I didn't feel like I had a job. Like, I woke up every day and I felt like there was opportunity to do something. Like, what can I make happen today?
Okay.
I didn't feel like I was going to a job and like looking at the clock. What time do I go home? It's like, I couldn't get there fast enough. I wanted to stay late. Like, I was all in.
Yeah, you were all in. And this is Corona del Mar. So was there a physical office that came with? Okay.
Yep. On 2nd Avenue, PCH.
Another terrible location.
Yeah. I shared an office with a woman that was in marketing and copywriting. Okay. So we got to collaborate a little bit. And actually, there was a third group in that office that were architects. Yeah. So it was a tiny little office, and there were 6 to 7 people in there. Okay. In this space.
Cozy.
Yeah. But the motive for buying this business was, the economy was great. People were spending a lot of money on wedding invitations. The wedding industry is a big business. But I also knew that beyond the bride and groom needing their wedding invitations, they hired event coordinators and hairstylists and florists and photographers, and they all needed marketing and branding and design help. So that was kind of my end game.
So you saw that ahead of time.
Yeah.
So you saw this as a sort of the buy-in to additional services that you could offer.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Instead of selling a tangible product, I could also sell a service and a unique ability to people that needed it, outside of just the one core group that only she could offer. The previous owner could only offer her services too.
So how did you introduce that to the clientele? Because you step into a business where they obviously know the prior owner. They had built a relationship. You're new. Well, to an extent, right? So how do you bridge that? Because it's my understanding that sometimes when there's acquisition or somebody takes over ownership, you kind of know that some clients are going to stay and some are going to kind of part ways.
Right.
What was your experience like?
The previous owner was remarkable, and she and I worked together for probably a year.
Okay.
She stayed on and worked side by side, phased out over time, but she did an amazing job of introducing me to the right people, going to the right events, doing a lot of networking, really smooth transition. And part of our united conversation was, John's got an excellent background with advertising agencies and design studios and record labels. He can do more than just X.
What we're doing.
Right.
So you're there for how long?
Well, I still own a form of that business now.
Really?
It's evolved, but I've been in business for myself for 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
16 years. So did you just simply sort of divest from the wedding invitation side of the business? Is that essentially what happened to what you're doing today?
Yeah. The economy changed. Stock market took a big hit. People stopped spending money on like it was water.
Yeah. This is 2008?
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. But, good thing I'd built up that other side of what I was doing. And, businesses still needed to make money.
Okay.
People weren't going to go and spend, ridiculous amounts of money on paper invitations.
Right.
And there was also a lot of online competition.
Got it.
I can go online and it's the perceived value, right? I can get the same online for a fraction of the cost of what it would cost, me to do it.
Right.
And just through networking, I've met people that are still clients today.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, really since that at a young age, you've been cultivating a lot of great relationships with people. Mm-hmm. How much would you say, I guess, if you were waiting things out in the world of business, since you do work for yourself and have your own business, how important are relationships?
Extremely.
Extremely.
Yeah.
And so what were some of your techniques as a young professional to cultivate relationships? Because I'd imagine, you have a design background, right? Unless you went through classes around relationship building or,
right.
How do you go from
school, didn't take any PR classes or anything like that.
Right. And sometimes, whether it's true or not, sometimes designers can be a bit more introverted, right? It could be more in your own space and your own world and designing and creating this magic and not necessarily out there. Right. So how did you do this? How did you connect these two?
You're exactly right, but there's also the reality of when you have bills to pay, you get out there and make friends or you don't, right?
Yeah.
And just being authentic, right?
Okay.
You don't want to sell something you're not and that you can't deliver,
right?
So I've been fortunate enough to gravitate towards people that are just really like-minded and appreciate what I'm able to do. And, and I appreciate, what they can do. And it's been, every client, it's a partnership,
right?
It's a give and take. There's a mutual, rewarding relationship. There's a lot of respect there.
Yeah.
100%,
right? I always try to share with people that business is about people. I think sometimes we remove the people component. We try to make it about a product or this or that. But at the end of the day, it's about people. And the reality is people want to work with people they like.
Yeah.
Right. So every time we spend time with people and give them our time, which is the most precious resource of all, I think all of us would agree on that. It can go a long way. So I love the fact that you were doing that at such a young age. So we've arrived now at JM Inc., right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your company today and what you tend to focus on and type of clients that you work with, and what are you passionate about around your business today? Because you've had it for a long time.
Yeah.
You have a great career, a lot of different stories and different things that brought you to this moment. What still fuels you to kind of get up in the day, in the morning? Do you still have that same fire, that same passion?
Yeah. I'm very fortunate. I wake up each day and I just tell myself, like, what can I accomplish today? Right? What can I get done? What can I do? Not only for you or this client or this relationship, but like for me.
Yeah.
How can I further my business and how can I help myself?
Yeah.
So changing the name of the business was Invitation Innovations way back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Right? She had an amazing reputation. It was a great business. But just the name, I couldn't get over.
You weren't feeling it.
Yeah. You can't buy a business, change the name. So I just left it for a long time, but
okay.
Several iterations and years later, the name changed, and I finally just realized, like, I'm me. My name, Jonathan Mayer.
Just you. You are the brand.
I'm the brand. Yeah.
You are the brand.
Yeah.
And so you primarily specialize in design services, design marketing.
Right.
Okay. Right. So what type of advice would you give to, some up and coming designers or people that are out there contemplating a career in design or marketing, the type of services that you offer? What are some things that you might suggest to them, or, moments in time that you said, you know what, that was worthwhile, or taking those classes or spending the time here that got you to this point? What are some things that come to your mind?
I've always taken a risk, and it's always worked out.
Okay.
I don't know how sound that advice is, but you can't win if you don't try.
Yeah.
So I've always taken a risk, and it's always worked out. To a designer, I would say know your likes, know your style, know your audience.
Okay.
My career has taken me down this luxury path. I work with an exclusive jeweler in Newport Beach, architect that designs some of the most beautiful homes you've ever seen. I've worked with men's clothings, custom clothing, people that make custom safes. And I am drawn to kind of this quality and beauty and design, whether it's the jewelry or the house or the clothing or these safes. And if somebody came to me and wanted me to do a record label again, I don't know if I could do it,
Interesting.
Or like if a surf brand approached me and asked me to do something, that's just, for so long, I've done this very kind of sophisticated, clean, luxury look and feel across the board.
Okay.
I've just kind of discovered what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And keep doing it.
So you've identified your style. So one of the things would be just know your lane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Know what you like.
I mean, if you like clothing, then, go get into being a designer for fashion houses, or if you like the automotive world, get into that.
Do you think that sometimes as a designer it could work against you if you spread yourself too thin across different, industries? Or is there just trade-offs? Is it just...
You can learn everywhere you go. I mean, I went from record industry to, restaurants and hospitality and medical devices to wedding invitations to kind of this luxury brand for the past 10 or 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes taking those risks to explore different outlets will help you arrive at the sweet spot.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So you know your place, and so now you just tend to cater to those type of clients.
Yeah.
And what other advice would you give in terms of maybe tools or education or things to the up-and-coming designer to pay attention to or to be mindful of as they're venturing on a path of design, especially nowadays, given our digital economy where, everybody's glued to their smartphones and it's not going away.
Right.
And we're only going to consume more of that, right? So are there any things that come to your mind for the up-and-coming designer today or student?
I've seen a lot of design students, and they're all really talented and really good.
Yeah.
I think they know what they want to do, and they know where they want to go.
Okay.
Expose yourself to different things.
Yeah.
In San Diego, I went to a number of design conferences. I've gone to Adobe conferences.
Yeah.
Different marketing conferences, just exposing yourself and just, being a lifelong student.
Yeah.
Even if it's in a very small section of your world.
I love that. Yeah. I love it. It's sort of, I'm not sure who said it, but a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you also made a good point about just going to conferences and putting yourself out there in these environments, because I would imagine too, as a designer or anybody that feels fairly creative, is that you probably find energy and inspiration from other spaces.
Yeah.
So even taking a day to go to the museum or walk the downtown LA or downtown San Diego and just sort of observe and take in the environment and maybe have some music or be in silence or meditate, whatever. Yeah. I'd imagine you probably draw some inspiration there.
Yeah.
So having said that, what are some brands that, really capture your attention? Brands that come to mind, maybe a few or maybe one or two, whatever. Just a few brands that come to your mind that you say, man, I really love what they're doing, how they position, the aesthetics, and anybody come to mind?
Apple's always been beautiful. Not so much for the aesthetics, but the messaging.
Okay.
The insurance industry world is doing, it's so funny. I love television commercials.
Okay. Like Geico?
Geico, you've got Flo, you've got the Allstate guy,
Yeah.
you've got the Mayhem character.
Oh, the Mayhem character, yeah.
It's actually just kind of genius,
Yeah.
you know, and I love watching that because I like thinking a few steps back, like who's pitching that? In what conference room is that being pitched?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember pets.com.
Yes, I do.
The sock puppet, the dog sock puppet,
yeah,
right? With
yeah.
the two like googly eyes
Yeah,
glued on.
yeah, I do.
And I just thinking like, who was the account exec that was standing there with a
Here's
sock
what
on
we're
his
gonna
hand?
do.
Here's $1 million idea, and they're
Yeah.
standing there with a sock on their hand, and
Yeah.
next thing you see it on the Super Bowl, right? So
Just these little novel concepts, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like the insurance industry, the auto insurance. It's just I think they're doing a great job with their messaging, right? I think it's kind of fun and creative to watch.
It's funny.
You know?
Yeah, the Mayhem commercials are fantastic,
Yeah.
right? At first, I have to tell you, when I watched those, I was like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
But then if you slow down and understand who this person is and what's happening, you're like, this genius.
They've turned like, bad incidents and mishaps into a real character.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Oh,
and then,
man.
And then the other one where the guy's like walking his client through the museum.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, Oh yeah, the old like golf cart in the lake incident, right? There's a statue of the golf cart or whatever. I just think it's really funny. It's really kind of genius.
I love it. So those are the two. So Apple and the insurance industry. Anybody else come to mind?
The automotive is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
A lot of automotive marketing is really pretty. There's just a lot of good design.
Yeah,
out
different
there.
ones
It's
out
kind of
there.
hard to pinpoint.
And what would be some advice that you would give to a startup company? Somebody that's just starting, doesn't have a lot of money, but wants to at least establish himself or develop a good foundation, when it comes to branding or marketing in general.
Yeah. Just be authentic.
Yeah.
Social media is a great platform.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you much if you don't want to, boost and advertise and things like that.
Yeah.
But, a position that I found, which I like, is being someone who solves a problem, right? Don't talk about how great you are or how many awards I've won or, how remarkable I am or I've done A, B, and C, but talk about like, hey, I've solved this problem for this person or, I can help you with this or, coming from a place of help.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Versus I'm the expert.
I like that because I think sometimes there's just a saturation of too many experts or people that proclaim they're the best and talk about themselves a little bit too much, right?
Yeah.
And I think that our work ought to speak for itself, right? And people are probably likely drawn to the quality of the work, which is the best situation that can happen, right?
Yeah.
So I like that and being authentic. Those are some great pieces of advice. For sure. So I have two more questions before we wrap up the conversation today. So the first question I like to ask my guests is, what is the last random act of kindness that you did for another individual, and how did it make you feel?
I just try to be a overly good, polite person.
Okay.
Just out in public.
Out in public. So are we talking about opening doors?
Old-fashioned manners.
Old-fashioned manners.
I have this little contest with my son, right?
Yeah.
The polite contest.
Okay.
We see who can be the most polite around the house.
Really?
And it kind of ebbs and flows. Sometimes we're really on it, and sometimes we kind of forget about it. But having this polite contest and just old-fashioned hold the door for somebody,
Old-fashioned.
right?
Now, with this and I think that's wonderful because you're also, obviously showing some amazing leadership and parentalness, if that's a word, for your son. How much of that rubs off to the point where you now see your son doing that when you're not calling him out on it and just when he's out and about or you're around other families? Do you see it?
I do. I mean, I have to stay true and I have to stay on it too. It's a work in progress for sure. But you just try to raise a good person.
Yeah. Raise a good person. And you have two kids, correct?
Two kids.
Two kids.
Yeah.
Well, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question.
Right.
And you're probably wondering, what's the globe here for?
Yeah.
Okay. So my last question is, if there was only one more place on this beautiful earth of ours that you could travel to, where would it be and why? And if you want to spin this is spin friendly.
Right.
Where would it be?
I've always, we've talked about for several years somehow doing a safari.
A safari.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just going out and just seeing these beautiful, majestic animals, right?
Like San Diego's zoo?
Almost, yeah. Yeah, or in Africa.
Or
yeah.
Africa,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So South Africa.
Yeah.
Maybe on safari in South Africa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully you get a chance to make your way to South Africa. And I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate your time, and you have an incredible story. And I hope that, somebody listening to the show or watching the show finds some inspiration, especially some of the young individuals out there that are early on sitting in community college right now, or school of any kind, vocational, or just on YouTube right now trying to figure out how to Photoshop works or Illustrator. Right. And hopefully they listen to this, they find some inspiration, and it sets them on a good path, and some of the key things that you've shared to propel their career forward. So thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
All right.